Greetings, Michael DDA here, and you've just joined the We Are Israel Sabbath class. We're going through Torah. We've been doing it for about 3 years, and today we're going to cover something very, very interesting. It is the Song of Moses. Well, that said, I want to go back to last week and just review a couple of things. They relate very significantly to what we're going to talk about today in Deuteronomy 32. We saw last week that Moses is about to die. This is his birthday, apparently. He says, I am 120 years old today. Well, I was thinking that he was going to die on this day. It may be that he's not going to die on this exact day, but he's going to die within days of his birthday. Remember, he's been with Israel for 40 years. He's seen Yehovah threaten to destroy the lot of them more than once. And he pleaded, kill me! What will the nations say if you destroy them? Things like that. And in chapter 31, in chapter 29, he reinforced this idea that we were a rebellious people, hard-hearted, stiff-necked, and that we were going to turn away from Yahovah. I was going to say in the last days. No, way beyond, before the last days. We were starting to turn away from Yahovah even before we had a king in Israel. We had judges. We do good, we do bad, we do good, we do bad. Ebb and flow, ebb and flow. We don't get it. Things go good for us, we forget Yahovah. You can't do this. This is why Yahovah gives us the feasts. Why? Every 6 months, we have a major feast. I think he wants to keep us in the flow. We have to renew our covenant every year at Passover. You don't renew your covenant, you get kicked out of Israel. Wow. Who's renewing the covenant? Are the ladies renewing a covenant, or are the men renewing a covenant? This is what we talked about last week. Probably one of the most important things we mentioned last week was this whole business. Gather the people. Well, I don't even want to read it in this. It's so perverted. And Moses commanded them, the priests, saying, at the end of every 7 years, at the appointed time, in the year of release, the Feast of Tabernacles, when all Israel, this is the time when all Israel always comes before Yahovah. When all Israel comes to appear before Yahovah, thy Elohim, in the place which he chooses, thou shalt read this law to all Israel in their hearings. Now he's going to tell us, gather the people. Okay? Gather thy people is what we were talking about last week, remember? Not gathering the people in general, gathering thy people. Thy, in a sense, it's not saying it, but the context is there because of what we see at the end of this instruction. Really what it's saying is, gather thy men, thy women, thy children, thy ger. It actually says thy ger, who are in thy gate. You know, I didn't do a good job for you last week because I forgot something that was very important to show you that I didn't show you. This is one time every 7 years at the Feast of Tabernacles that the women and the children are going to come before Yehovah. But I didn't make my point the way I wanted to make my points. And here's what I wanted to show you last week. I have a topic note right up here called 3 times each year. And what I've done is I've created 3 verses that talk about who comes to these feasts. It's not ladies. 3 times thou shalt keep a feast to me in the year. Remember, we were talking about keeping us in the flow. Don't forget Yahovah. That's what these feasts are all about. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. Passover. You know, they're synonymous. Passover is the beginning of the feast of unleavened bread. You can't have one without the other. When you see Feast of Unleavened Bread, you know we're talking about Passover. But we're talking about the whole 7 days that the ladies aren't there. Ooh, isn't that interesting? Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days. Thou, he's talking to each man individually. As I commanded thee at the time appointed in the month of Aviv. For in it thou came out of Egypt. None shall appear before me empty. He's talking to the Ezra men. None of you Ezra men shall appear before me empty. And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the field. And the feast of ingathering at the end of the year, when thou have gathered in the fruit of thy labor from the field. 3 times in the year all thy males. Hear that? Who's he talking to? He's talking to Israel, and he says, all thy males. The word here is zakor. Zakor. Okay? There are no lady zakor. There are animal zakor, male animals, but there are no female zakor. All your males shall appear before the Master, Yahovah, Elohim of Israel. He is the master of the Elohim. He's the master of the Ezrach. The Ezrach are the master of all their males, their females. And they're tough, which really is males and females anyway. Well, that's just one. Here's another one. 3 times a year, all thy males. Oh, that last one, Exodus 23, 14 through 17. This one is Exodus 34, 23. 3 times a year all thy males shall appear before Yahovah thy Elohim. Yehovah thy Elohim. The context clue. We're talking about the Ezra men in the place which he chooses. The Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Feast of Weeks, the Feast of Tabernacles. And they shall not appear before Yahovah empty-handed. Here's the last one. 3 times in the year all thy males shall appear before the Master, Yahovah, Elohim of Israel, the lawmaker and the judges of the Ezrach, or the lawmaker and the judge of the Ezrach. So, this is the context that we're talking about when Moses all of a sudden says, once every 7 years, at the year of release, in the Feast of Tabernacles. It's to keep them on task also. Well, I had 2 more things I wanted to show you in this. This is one of them. Look what it says here. Now Yahovah appeared at the tabernacle in a pillar of a cloud. He always appears in a pillar of a cloud, or a cloud. and the pillar of a cloud stood above the door of the tabernacle. And Yehovah said to Moses, Behold, thou shalt rest with thy fathers. And this people, all these people, Israel, the men, not the ladies, the men, will rise and play the harlot with the elohim of the foreigners of the land, the lawmaker and the judges of the foreigners of the land. We're going to see this is what the Song of Moses is all about. We are playing the harlot, where they go to be among them, and they will forsake me, break my covenant which I made with them. He's going to give us a song to help us remember to follow only Yahovah and not make covenants with the elohim of the land. Last verse. Then Moses spoke in the hearing of the assembly of Israel. Who's the assembly of Israel? The men. Israel. We're talking about spiritually born men. That's Israel. Don't think women and children when you think Israel. I want you to learn to think men. It's going to help you in your understanding. In the hearing of all the assembly of Israel, the words of the song until they were ended. So today we're going to talk about the song. Give ear, O heavens, and I will speak, and hear, Shema, O earth, the words of my mouth. This is the song that Israel's going to sing. And Israel, me, Carrie, the ones who have come into covenant with Yahovah after we left the Elohim of our birth, are saying these words. Don't confuse the speaker for this song. It's us. We are speaking to the heavens. We are speaking to the earth. See, I think this is really interesting because Joshua was a shlach of Elohim, and he was the one who said, Sun, stand still until my enemies are defeated. Give ear, O heavens. Remember, the heavens is where the birds fly. Hear, Shema, hear and obey, O earth, the words of my mouth. Verse 2. Let my teachings drop as the rain. Whose teachings? Whose teachings? My speech distill as dew, as raindrops on the tender herb, and showers on the grass. For I proclaim the name of Yahovah. Do you hear that? Not the name of Adonai, not the name of Hashem, not the name of Jesus. Oh, brother. Oh, we have learned so many lies. I proclaim the name of Yahovah. Maybe that's what he's saying. You got to look at it in the context, don't you? Look what I put on the right-hand side here. Give ear, you heavens. Hear, O earth. Because I proclaim Yehovah's name. His Shem, his name. But who's speaking? It is each man who has learned this song. Ascribe greatness to our Elohim. Who's our? See, we always got to ask ourselves these questions. Who are these? What do they call those? Pronouns. But they're a specific kind of pronoun. If Sheila were here, she would know. But we got to sort out these pronouns. For I proclaim the name of Yahovah. Isn't that beautiful? Ascribe greatness to our Elohim. He is the rock. His work is perfect. For all his ways are justice. An Elohim of truth, without injustice. Righteous and upright is he. I like this. Righteous and upright is he. Look at the two words they use here. It says Zadok, and you can probably guess the other one. What do you think it is? Righteous and upright is he. What do you think the other word is? Here it is. It's Yasher. Isn't that interesting? This is what Yasher's all about. I think it's so cool, though. It says righteous and upright is he. We're supposed to be righteous and upright. Yahovah lives according to his own word. Just as we, his sons, his seed, his kind, are to do. Live according to his words. Only his words. But now look what it says. They have corrupted themselves. They are not his sons. I believe this was the word mum, yes. Shakat, I put shakat to him. They are not his sons. Shakat. Let's take a look at that word for a second. They put corrupted. They have corrupted. I think what it's actually saying, shakat, is to destroy. I put, they are dead to him. This is what we're saying. They're dead to him. Walking dead. He says, they are mum. Talking about the sons. They are not his sons. And that is sons, his sons. They are not his sons. They're dead to him. They're not his sons. They are mum. Okay, what did they put? They put, because of their blemish. No, you can't even see what is going on in this verse unless you look at the Hebrew. We got children. Oh, man, they do this all the time. I mean, I can't even imagine how you can take the word banim, his banim, and make children out of it. It's so heinous. people are being led the wrong way because somehow they think they are included in these children of Israel. Oh, it's everywhere. I think that the translators and the world don't want you to see the truth. They'd rather have you remain in darkness. They are mum. Remember mum? Remember when we talked about the mum? We couldn't bring at certain times and for under certain conditions, we couldn't bring an animal that had a blind eye, a short leg, a cut ear. That is mum. They are mum. They are defects. Defects. They're supposed to be spiritually born sons, but they are defects. Distorted. A distorted and crooked generation. That's what we're talking about. I put the Christians, the Jews, the Messianics, and all who give false and distorted light to the world are mum. And they will be destroyed because they are dead to him. You hear what I'm saying? Do thou thus deal with Yahovah, O foolish and unwise people? I put, is this thy repayment to Yahovah, thou stupid and wicked people? People, that's something we're going to look at today. People. These are supposed to be Yahovah's people. Is this thy repayment to Yahovah, thou stupid and wicked people? Is he not thy father? I'm using this term loosely, or they're using this term loosely. Who created thee, made thee, and established thee? I think there's a difference between created and made. He created Jacob. He formed Israel. Two things. Remember, this is Israel speaking to each man of fallen Israel. It's for us to remember not to deviate from the fathers, the creators, statutes and judgments and ordinances. Is this thy repayment to Yahovah, thou stupid and wicked people? Is he not thy father who created thee and made thee? He says, remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. This is interesting. I wanted to point this out to you because this is door, and door. Remember we were talking about these kinds of things. He repeats himself. Sometimes he says men. It's all men, many men. Here they talk about Kodesh, Kodeshim. Same word. They're repeating themselves. We see this often. Many generations. It's a good translation. Ask thy father, and he will show thee. Remember, we're talking about what? Don't lose context. Dost thou not deal with Yahovah? Is this thy repayment? Is he not thy father? He created thee, he made thee, he established thee. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask your father, and he will show thee. thy elders, and they will tell thee. Where do we have to go now to ask our Father, thy Father, and thy elders? Got to go to the book. That's the only place we can find it. We are so long in the land we've forgotten. So we got to go back to Father Abraham, Father Jacob, Father Isaac, Father Noah, even Methuselah and Enoch, righteous and upright men. When the Most High divided their inheritance to the nations, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set boundaries of the people, boundaries of the peoples. This is the plural, peoples. They're not Yehovah's people. They're the world's peoples, the sons of Adam's peoples. It's Amim. Here it is, right here. Amim. The peoples. And this doesn't say the sons of Adam's. You know what this says? It says B'nai Adam. We're talking about Adam's seed. That's every man. Until they're born a second time, then they become Yehovah's seed. But until you're Yehovah's seed, you're Adam's seed. You see how it flows together? Again, B'nai, Adam's seed. He set the boundaries of the peoples according to the number of Israel's seed. Well, look at that. We contrast Adam's seed with Israel's seed. Isn't that beautiful? You miss it? Because we talk about the sons of Adam. How come we don't talk about the children of Adam? Everywhere else, they call it the B'nai. They call it right here. Same word. Look, B'nai. Here it is. B'nai. Here it is. Look, B'nai. Let me make it a little bit bigger for you. Come on. There it goes. Yeah, look at this. This is the same word. B'nai. 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 B'nai Israel. B'nai Adam. How come one is sons and one is children? Does that bother anybody? It bothers the heck out of me because it's dishonest. Liar, liar, pants on fire. They are hiding the truth from you. They don't want you to understand that Israel is seed. Well, they don't even understand it, but they do understand sons. Obviously, it says the sons of Adam. They know it. That should make you so angry because you have been lied to. So what are we talking about? Divided the inheritance to the nations. When he separated the sons, Adam's seed, Adam's seed, he set the boundaries of the peoples. He's talking about Babel. He's talking about scattering the sons of Adam who were trying to gather together and serve Nimrod. Ignore Yahovah. Build a tower so we can't be drowned again. We'll fix him. Here's a couple verses. This is, let's see if I can keep this in here. This is Genesis 10:25. To Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days the earth was divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. Okay, there's the one. Here, let's see if we can, I can't get it to go in there. Let me do this. I'll just go here. It says, therefore its name is called Babel, because there Yahovah confused the languages of the earth. earth. And from there, Yahovah scattered them abroad over the face of the earth. 70 nations. But isn't it interesting? He did 70 nations before there was even 70 Israel. How's that work? Oh, that's pretty interesting. Let me go back. I'm guessing. So he says 70. Why 70? Remember, Pharaoh talked about 70 nations. Remember that? I put must be referring to the 70 who went to Egypt with Jacob. But even that doesn't really work, because in that 70 was a couple ladies, 2 daughters. One was Dinah, and the other one was a stepdaughter of one of the sons. I forget which son it was. Really not important. So that doesn't really even work either. So I don't know where the 70 really comes from, but he says 70 according to Israel's seed. All right, well, I guess we'll just have to put that in our memory banks and ponder that a bit. Yeah. Carrie says wasn't Jochebed also counted? She was. She was part of the 70. She wasn't named, but she was counted. I guess they didn't know if she was a he or a she, but she makes up the 70th person. So yeah, that would have been another woman, yet another daughter. Son of Levi. Let's continue. He says, let's see, I got to refresh this. 32:9. Again, we just saw the peoples. Now we're going back to his people. Look what it says. For Yahovah's portion is his people. Yahovah's portion is his people. Oh my goodness. Remember, the people are who? They're men. But the men come with their women, their children, the ger who dwells with them, and their servants. But his people are the men. Israel. Israel is my son. Look what he continues saying. Jacob is the place of my inheritance. I had to think about that for a second. How can Jacob be a place? Well, I think I came to a conclusion. It says, I put Jacob is the place that his inheritance comes from. Isn't he? Isn't that where his inheritance comes from, Jacob? Israel came from Jacob. People. His people. Consider this verse. From the top of the rocks I see him, and from the hills I behold him. There. A people dwelling alone, not reckoning themselves or itself among the nations. Look at it, it's the Goyim. The Goyim, not reckoning itself among the nations. His people are not the Goyim. If you're a Goyim, you're not his people. That's why you have to leave first in order to become his people. He found him in the desert land and the wasteland, and in the wasteland, a howling wilderness. He encircled him. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye. Remember, Israel, his people, is the apple of his eye. Not Jacob. Israel comes from Jacob. These are subtle things. I remember years ago, probably 18 years ago, thinking, why does it say Jacob and then Israel? Jacob and Israel. Why does Isaiah did it all the time? I couldn't get a handle on it. I asked people, they didn't know. Well, there's a difference between the two men. One is a man of the flesh. Yes, he was set apart to Yehovah. He left. He wasn't a part of the world. But he had a chance to become Israel. Look what it says. Oh, I have another way of writing this. He said, he appeared to him in the desert land, a waste and howling wilderness. He led him and instructed him and kept him as the apple of his eye. Do you feel like you are now in a waste and howling wilderness? Oh, I once felt like I was in a waste and howling wilderness. Yahovah led me out, made me his. And then at Passover 8 years ago, I became his seed, his spiritual seed. Psalms 35:4 says, for Yahovah has chosen Jacob for himself, Israel for his special treasure. There is that word segula once again. Same word that we saw in Exodus 19. For Yahovah will have mercy on Jacob. He will still choose Israel and settle them. Look, there's two of them, isn't there? Settle them in their land. No, he's not. Jacob doesn't have land if he's Ger. Only Israel has land. So he's settling Israel. See, we got to understand. You can lean the wrong way very easily. Can you see how I just did that? I know that only Israel can have land. Look what it says. The strangers will be joined with them, and they will cling to the house of Jacob. Jacob and Israel are related. One comes from the other. But when he sees his sons, the work of my hands, in the midst, they will hallow his name and howl the Holy One of Jacob and fear the Elohim of Israel. The Holy One versus the Elohim. Again, two different things going on here. But now thus says Yahovah, who created you, O Jacob. Ooh, this is the verse I was talking to you about. Isaiah 43:1. I got to remember where that's at. But now thus says Yahovah, who created you, O Jacob. Doesn't say O Jacob, it just says Jacob. And he who formed you, Israel. One was created, one was formed. I think it's the first birth and the second birth. But now thus says Yahovah, who created you, O Jacob. He who formed you, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by my name. You are mine. Let my son go, that he may serve me. Remember, his son was Israel. That's what it said. Let Israel go. Let Israel, my son, go. My firstborn, that he may serve me. Remember these, O Jacob and Israel, for you are my servant. I have formed you. You are my servant, O Israel. You will not be forgotten by me. Sing, O heavens, for Yahovah has done this. Shout, you lower parts of the earth. Who is this saying this? This is Isaiah. Who's he speaking to? The heavens, the earth. Sing, O heavens, for Yahovah has done it. Not Yahovah talking, is he? It's Isaiah talking. Shout, you lower parts of the earth. Break forth into singing, you mountains. He's speaking to the mountains and the forests and every tree in it. For Yahovah has redeemed Jacob and glorified himself in Israel. Remember, there's only two kinds of men in Yahovah's kingdom. Ger and the Ezrach. If you're not one of them, you are a goyim, a goy. Oh, now look what it says. Remember, this is the song of Moses. As an eagle stirs up its nest. I want to bring it to the top. As an eagle stirs up its nest, hovers over its young, spreading out its wings, taking them up, carrying them in its wings. So Yahovah alone led him. Look at that. The them is the him. We're talking about Israel. But we're going to see that this is going to be fallen Israel, that this song is about. Being sung by Israel, but it is about fallen Israel. I like this about the as an eagle stirs up its nest, hovers over its young, spreading out its wings. This is the Yahovah's care for us. Found us in the wilderness. What did he say? Found us in the wilderness. Instructed him, kept him as the apple of his eye. Just like an eagle stirs up its nest, hovers over its young, spreading out its wings, taking them up, carrying them in his wings. So Yahovah led him. I want to stay on this idea about the wings for just a moment. Same verse or same chapter that has the segula that we were just talking about. My special people, Israel. Israel's seed. This is the same chapter, Exodus 19. You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Well, there it is right there. Spreading out his wings, taking them up, carrying them on its wings. Here's another one. This is Isaiah 31, 4 and 5. Let me move it up a little bit. For thus Yahovah has spoken to me. As a lion roars, as a young lion over its prey, when a multitude of shepherds is summoned against him, he will not be afraid of their voice, nor be disturbed by their voice. So Yahovah of hosts will come down to fight for Mount Zion and for his hill, like birds flying about. So will Yahovah of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending, he will also deliver it. Passing over it, he will preserve it. Again, it's kind of that eagle idea, the bird protecting it. Have you ever seen a bird protecting its nest? Maybe the babes fell out and you got too close to it, and these birds, they start dive bombing you. Have you ever had that happen to you? I remember what happened to me. Wow, it was really incredible. That bird was tenacious. Here's yet another one. He says, have you not known? Have you not heard? The everlasting Elohim, Yahovah, the creator of the ends of the earth, neither faints nor is weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the weak, and to those who have no might he increases strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. The strong, the ones who never get tired among the goyim are going to die. But those who wait on Yehovah shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Remember, an eagle goes above the storm. And that's what Israel is going to be able to do. The storm's not going to have any effect on us. We're going to go over the storm. Here's one more. And this is from Revelation, but I like it. But the woman was given 2 wings. This is, call her Jacob. Call her Jacob. Call her the Gerim. The woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness to her place where she will be nourished by who? The male child, Israel, where she will be nourished for time and times and a half times, 3.5 years, from the presence of the serpent. Again, eagle's wings. He preserves us, and he's going to preserve us again. So remember, this is all about remembering. Ask your fathers, ask your elders. So Yahovah alone led him, and there was no foreign elohim with him. Did you hear that? When he did this for us, there was no foreign elohim with us. What is a foreign elohim? Look what the word is. It's El Nakar. There it is. El Nakar. No added letters. El Nakar. Remember, we said Nakar was a adverb or an adjective for another word. When we talked about the Ben Nakar, we were talking about the sons of the foreigner. This is the Elohim of the foreigner. Remember, he just told us you were going to go and follow the Elohim of the foreigners. Same idea. There was no foreign Elohim with him. Why? He says, first commandment. Well, preface to the first commandment in the first commandment. I am Yahovah, thy Elohim. Context clue. Talking to the Ezra men, who brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Yes, with all your women and your children and the ger who with you. But he brought you out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other Elohim existing before my face. There was no foreign Elohim with him. Remember, that is what this song is about. We have foreign Elohim with us, and it ought not to be. Come out early, be great in Yehovah's kingdom. Come out later when the 144,000 are raised up, if you can, if you're still alive. And maybe you'll live, but you won't be the great ones. Don't come to them. You're dead meat. You won't live. 13. He made him ride on the heights of the earth, that he might eat the produce of the fields. He made him draw honey from the rock and oil from the flinty stone. Look at that. It's like we're getting honey out of nothing. Oil out of nothing. Eating the produce of the earth. It's going to happen again. You know, I have to ask myself, when did this happen? When did we ever get honey out of a rock? When did we ever get oil? You know, is there times in the wilderness where Yehovah gave us things that we don't even know about? I'm guessing there is. I'm guessing we don't know it all. You know, they put some of the high points. boy, you can just only conclude so much. He made him ride on the heights. He's going to do it again. I think this is the provision we can expect from Yehovah in the coming wilderness also. When Yehovah raises up to 144,000, we're going to see this kind of provision for us. It goes on. Curds from the cattle, and milk from the flocks, fat from the lambs, and rams of the breed of Bashan. Fat from both of them, and the goats, and the choicest wheat. And you drank wine, the blood of the grapes. We're going to do that again. I put vino. That's what we're talking about, the blood of the grapes. Look what it says here. This is Isaiah 25:6, talking about when we're in the wilderness. And in this mountain, Yahovah of hosts will make for him, for all the people. The people. Oh, that's interesting. That is the Amim. For all the people, a feast of choice pieces, a feast of wines on the lees, of fat things full of marrow, of well-refined wine on the lees. Wine on the lees. I make wine, so I know what the lees is. That's what settles down in the bottom of the bottle. But now look what he says. But Yeshua, oh, look at that. He's calling us Yeshua. It's his affectionate name for Israel. Yeshurun. But Yeshurun grew fat and kicked. He says, thou art waxen fat. Thou art grown thick. Thick. Thick of heart, thick of head, thick of body. Thou art covered with fatness. Then he forsook Elohim who made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. The rock. We're seeing this a lot today, the rock. We'll see it again in a few more verses. I want to comment on it at length there. I put Yeshurun. This is from Easton Bible Dictionary. A poetic name for the people of Israel. No, it's the poetic name for Israel. Israel, that's what it is. Okay? Just because it says it in the dictionary, don't think it's right. Okay? You got to be smarter than the commentaries. You got to be smarter than the dictionaries. You got to be smarter than the concordances. They're just men. We can be smarter than they are. They don't get it. Thus says Yahovah, who made thee and formed thee from the womb, made thee and formed thee from the womb. Who will help thee? Fear not, O Jacob. And thou, Yeshurun, whom I have chosen. Here we are. Made thee and formed thee from the womb. Who will help thee? Made thee and formed thee. Jacob and Israel. You know, it's easy to put, you can put your own understandings on it, can't you? Because I'm telling you that he made thee and that he formed thee. He made Jacob, formed Israel. Created, that's the first birth, Jacob. Formed thee from the womb. Okay, but when they put it from the womb, again, we're dealing with the English. We got to get past the English. We're talking about Jacob, my servant, and thou, Yeshurun, whom I have chosen. Israel. Rick says, is this USA Today? I'm not sure what context you're speaking of, Rick. It's everywhere. It's everywhere today. You know what? Fat. Yeah. No, it's everywhere, Rick. It's everywhere. I mean, there are people who are poor in this world, certainly. But no, don't think about where we are now. Think about where we were then. We were in the Father's land. We were getting fat. We were getting the blessings coming on us because we obeyed Yehovah. And we grew fat then. Okay, we're not talking about now, we're talking about then. We may think we're fat now, but no, we're blind and naked. We don't get it. Let me continue. Yeshurun grew fat. Thou grew fat, thou grew thick, thou art obese. It's kind of like dash, and now he's going to say these things. Then he forsook Elohim who made him, and scornfully esteemed the rock of his salvation. Who's his salvation? Yahovah is his salvation. They provoked him to jealousy with foreign elohim. Now, they put foreign elohim. You tend to think that it's the same word that we were talking about here. Where was it? Grew fat. Foreign gods. Nope, that's the same one. Must have been looking at it someplace else. I forget where we saw that foreign gods. Now, remember, we were talking about El Nakar. Okay, this is not El Nakar. This is another word altogether. They provoked him with jealousy they put foreign gods. I put in strange, in profane things. Zor. In Zor is the word that we're talking about. In turning, they put foreign gods. I think that's not correct. They provoked him to jealousy by their actions. Strange and profane things. With abominations they grieved, they troubled him. Remember, man is judged according to the fruit of his deeds, and according to the fruit of his deeds, the way of his actions, something like that. I'm going to go find that verse real quick because I want to reinforce it in me, but I also want to reinforce it with you. It is Jeremiah 17. The heart is deceitful above all things, desperately wicked. Who can know it? A man even can give every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his doings. This is what they were doing. Abominations that troubled Yahovah. Strange and profane things in Zor, with abominations that troubled him. They knew the truth, but they did the Zor. Shame on them. They grieved, it says they provoked him to anger. They grieved and they troubled Yahovah with their wicked actions. Oh my goodness. Now look what it says. It says they sacrificed to demons. That's what it says in my New King James. They sacrificed to demons, not to Elohim. They sacrificed, as they say, to gods they did not know, to Elohim, new arrivals that your fathers did not fear. Well, let's talk about what it actually says. Because we read things like this and we think, well, I'm not sacrificing to demons. Oh, yes, you are. You just don't know it. Because you don't understand what this means. This does not say sacrifice. Mark my words. There is no word for sacrifice in Torah. It is completely made up by the Christian church. Don't go there. If there is a word there at all, usually it's just inserted. But if there's a word that it's being translated from, it's this word right here, slaughtered. The word is this word, zavek. Not zavek, zavek, zavek. A zavek is something that we kill and eat. They slaughtered to what? See, we don't get it. We talk about it in Leviticus 17. We talk about it in this verse. We talk about it in other places, but we also talk about it in the New Testament, meat sacrificed to idols. What was that? Acts 15. The four things, really five things, that James, the just, right? James the just told the church that the new ger were to begin their walk with, or not slaughtering to other elohim. Look at what it actually is. I put they slaughtered to demons. They slaughtered to demons. Shed demons. Okay, they did this demons. I guess it's okay. We don't understand who this is. They slaughtered to, it's something that is the opposite of Yehovah. If you don't slaughter to Yehovah, then you're slaughtering to whatever you're slaughtering to. You understand what I'm saying? Okay? So when your meat that you buy at the grocery store is slaughtered, is it done according to Yehovah's instructions? Well, I'll tell you right offhand, it's not, because he told you to slaughter it. You eat what you slaughter. Men, you kill what you feed your families. Other men don't kill it. And other men following and doing it in the instructions of other elohim of the earth, specifically the USDA instructions for how these slaughterhouses are supposed to operate, is not in accordance with what Yahovah said. In fact, some of them are even more perverse than that, because they are actually on purpose slaughtering to Allah. Oh my goodness. You guys, you don't know what you're eating. It's killing you. It's destroying you. Not only physically, but spiritually. He says, they slaughtered to demons, not Eloah. To Elohim, they knew not. Elohim. Who are the Elohim? The ones that are put in place by Obama, by the governors, by the legislature, by the Congress, that write out the rules for what's supposed to happen when that meat is slaughtered to make it good and safe for you. Please. To Elohim they knew not. New Elohim that had come up lately, which your fathers did not fear. We don't fear. Our fathers never feared any other Elohim but Yehovah. If you are eating meat bought from the store, thou are slaughtering to demons. Even today. You just don't know it. Well, this is why I wrote a 10-part series on this subject. It's in Leviticus 17. You can find it right here. I'm going to take you to my blog. I already have it set up. Here's the first one. Meat sacrificed to idols. You can find it right here. See clean and unclean food? right here is where you begin. Meat sacrificed to idols. No, it's meat slaughtered to other elohim. This is what we're talking about. This is what it is. But see, they put sacrifice to idols, so now you don't think, well, I'm not doing that. Yeah, you are. If you're eating meat from the grocery store, you are eating meat sacrificed to idols. You read what I have to say, you'll become a quasi-vegetarian like me. And I did it kicking and screaming. But I am going to do what Yehovah says. And I don't eat meat unless I kill it. That's just how it's got to be. That's how Yehovah's people live. Oh, I know. Gosh, he's impinging on our lifestyle yet again, isn't he? Well, you have no idea. I mean, if you want to be Israel, you got to leave the kingdom of your birth. So that's a whole nother story. I don't even want to go there today. Let me continue. They shall no more slaughter to here, this is Leviticus 17:7. Look, same wording. Look what it says. They shall no more slaughter their slaughterings to demons, which they play the harlot. Isn't that exactly what we're talking about right now? Playing the harlot. We're supposed to be following Elohim, but we're playing the harlot. After which they had to play the harlot. This shall be a statute forever unto them throughout their generations. Well, if you read this chapter, you'll see that if it's goats, sheep, or cattle, it's got to be done in accordance with Yehovah's ways. Now, we saw a place in Deuteronomy that we can treat goat, sheep, and animals, goat, sheep, and cattle, if we're too far away from where Yehovah puts his name, where we don't have a place where he puts his name right now. So we can slaughter goat, sheep, and cattle just as we do the deer and the elk, the deer and the gazelle, it says. Okay, we just got to make sure the blood gets put into the ground, and then we can eat it, just like we would do that wild game. Okay, Yehovah has very specific things. But the meat that you buy from the grocery store, you're bringing a blemish on your life. You're bringing sin on your life, and you don't know it. Yehovah said it would happen. Well, now, talking about the rock. It doesn't say of the rock. It just simply says rock, who bore thee. Thou art unmindful and have forgotten the El who gave thee birth. Hear that? The rock who bore thee. My son Israel, my firstborn. We were born after Yehovah's own kind. We saw that just recently. Psalms 55 verse 5, 50 verse 5, I forget one of the two. Well, here we were just reading about Yeshua growing fat and scornfully esteemed the rock of his salvation. But this is speaking of the second birth. Israel's seed, Yehovah's firstborn. Oh, look at this. I'll make myself laugh. You watch while a chip off the old rock. Instead of block, I crack myself up. You watched while a chip off the old rock, was cut out without hands. This is Daniel, which struck the image on the feet of iron and clay and broke them in pieces. You see what's going on here in the last days? there is a rock. The stone. The stone. This is us. This is us. We're part of the rock. We're the stone. Chip off the rock. Was cut out without hands. Without hands. Because it's Yahovah's seed. Struck the image. Struck the world's powers. The new world order is going down. Then the iron and the clay and the bronze and the silver and the gold were crushed together and became like chaff from the summer threshing floor. What happens to chaff in the summer threshing floor? The wind carries them away, so there's no trace was found. And the stone that struck the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. You guys, this is us. This is Israel that's being raised up right now in these last days. Oh, we have so much to look forward to. If you'll become Israel. If you won't become Israel, you've got nothing to look forward to. Dread is coming on you. And when Yehovah saw it, he spurned them. They were unmindful of him. Forgotten. Yehovah, who fathered you. That's the second birth we're talking about. Then Yehovah saw it, he spurned them because of the provocations of his sons and his daughters. Look at what they put, his sons and his daughters. Doesn't fit. But remember this, as bone of a man's bone, what a woman does, he does. So if a man is a son, a woman can be a daughter. We can look at it in that context. But remember, we've seen other places in Deuteronomy where they have thrown in women inappropriately. This seems to me like one of those spots. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. If you look at it in the context of bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, you can look at it that way. But it doesn't work any other way, because remember, how does a man become a son? He's got to be circumcised and then it's go to the Passover. Well, a woman can't be circumcised and she's not at the Passover. She never goes to the Passover. Who goes to the Passover? All thy males go to the Passover. You and all thy males. Thy and all thy males. Thou and all thy males. Yeah, the ladies aren't there. They can't be a daughter except through the son. So again, it gets confusing. There's some ladies that would say, well, look at this. You can be a daughter. This is what it says right here. Yeah, it does say that right there, but it's out of context. You got to read it as part of the whole of the Torah. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will hide my face. Remember, we were supposed to have any other elohim before his face. No, there shall be no other elohim existing before my face. So what's he going to do? They got other elohim. We're not mindful of him. He says, I will hide my face from them, and I will see what their end will be. For they are a perverse generation. What do they have? I guess I didn't put anything in there. They are a perverse generation. Sons in whom is no faith. This is Banim. Okay? There is no ladies in Banim. For they are a perverse generation, sons in whom is no faith. They have provoked me to jealousy by what is not Elohim. I had to rewrite this one. I put this as a breaking of the first commandment. They provoke me to jealousy by what is not Elohim. They, who are we talking about? Israel who are now following other elohim. That's the they that we're talking about. Let's remember the context. Have moved me to jealousy. Oh, this is really interesting. This is kind of like a mirror image, but in reverse. Look what he says. They have moved me to jealousy by what is not El. They have moved me to anger moved me to anger. This is the word. So here's the first word, kana. They have moved me to jealousy, kana. Now, kana has more than jealous, envious. Look at what it says, zealous. Zealous. Impassioned. You know what? I get impassioned. You can see my voice goes up, not only in volume, but also in pitch. When I get impassioned, zealous, they have moved Yehovah to passion by what is not Elohim. They have moved me to anger. That's passion. That's zealousness. Anger. Here it is right here. Ka'as. Ka'as. With their emptiness, their vanities. These are the things that they do. They're doing things. See, he can only judge by actions. He only gets mad about actions, not about thoughts. But now look what he says. This is the other half of it. He says, I will move them to passion, to kana. Same word. By those who are not a people. Not a people. We're talking about his people. These are people who are not a people. Who are the not a people people. The not a people are the goy. Okay, but this is by a people. And I will move them to anger. Same word. So here we have jealousy, kana, ka'as. Then here we have kana and ka'as again. Here it is right here. By those who are not a people. And I will move them to anger with a wicked nation. Wicked, stupid, wicked, impious nation. Now, this is goy. This is not a plural form of this. This is just simply with goy, with a wicked nation. I think it says people, a people, not a people, not a people. Remember, he's talking about I will do this to each man individually. Each man turned away from me. Made me mad, made me jealous, made me envious, zealous, so much that I was ticked by their wickedness. And now he is going to move us, move them to jealousy by those who are not a people. Who's he talking about? For most people that live in my neighborhood, the not a people is the kingdom of the United States. That's the people. A people. People of one nation. I will move them to anger with a wicked nation. So here we have people. Look at here. I believe nation. Yeah, look at. They had in Leviticus or in the New King James Version, to jealousy by those who are not a nation. So there they use nation, and then they use nation again. But they use two different words, but they translate it the same way. Is that fair? I don't think that's fair. How come they didn't make it a people? Provoke them jealousy of those who are not a people. I will move them to anger by a foolish nation, a wicked goyim, a wicked goy, a wicked nation. See what's going on? Again, they're not being careful in their translation. Translating people as nation and goy as nation, I don't think is right. Maybe you think it is. I don't think it is. I think it's deceitful. Well, so there's two things going on here. Because they did it to Yehovah, he's going to do it to them. Let's continue. He says, for a fire is kindled in my anger. Metaphor. But this is also going to be an actual fire that will consume them in the end. His anger is on fire. But he's going to use fire against them. Look what it says. And shall burn to the lowest hell. It shall consume the earth with her increase. Oh, you think you got a lot? You think you've said you got your boat, you got your houses, you got all your stuff. You're going to perish. It's all going to be burned up. You're not taking any of it with you. The only thing you can do is only thing you can take with you is what you do for Yahovah's kingdom. That's why I spend every day building Yahovah's kingdom on the earth. I want to see Yahovah come. I want to see his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So every day my goal is to raise up more of his kingdom in the earth. Everything I write, everything I teach is all about that. For a fire is kindled in my anger. It shall consume to the lowest hell. It shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. Makes me wonder if he's going to use a lot of volcanic action in these last days against the earth. I think he is. I think so. I will heap disasters on them. I will spend my arrows on them. Spend my arrows. Wow. They shall be wasted with hunger. Look at all the things that are coming with them. These are the arrows. Wasted with hunger. Devoured by pestilence and bitter destruction. I will send against them the teeth of beasts. Beasts are going to come after us. With poison of serpents of the dust. The sword shall destroy outside the house. The sword's going to destroy the guns, the cannons. He says, but there shall be terror within. Listen what he says. For it says, the young man and virgin, the nursing child, the man of gray hairs. No, that's not what it says. This is polluted. You know, I hate it when they take out the definite articles when they belong, and they put in the definite articles when they don't belong. Here's what it says. The sword shall destroy outside, there shall be terror within. For a young man and a virgin. Notice, young man and a virgin. This is right. This says for a bakar, that's where we get the word bachelor. For a bakor, a young man, and for a betula, a virgin. You know, I had to ask myself, well, let me just continue. It says, and an unmarried man and an unmarried woman. A young man, an unmarried man, that's what a bakor is, and an unmarried woman. Maybe that's even bad, how about we say untaken? Taken woman, because she is a betula, a virgin. An untaken woman. A man can take a woman as his servant, but she's still a virgin. So maybe even that's not a good word. An unspoiled woman, perhaps, maybe would be a better word. But we have to ask ourselves some questions here. Here we must ask ourselves, why does it say young man, and why does it not say young man and young woman? Wouldn't that be what you'd expect it to say? Okay, in our minds, in the world's minds, that's what I would have expected it to say. Young man and young woman. And it also says, look what it continues to say. It says young man, young woman. It says the nursing child. Okay, it's not nursing child. It just says a nursing child and with a man with gray hairs. Okay, so we've got a young man, virgin, and a man with gray hairs. Are we missing anybody? Are we missing the ladies? Are we missing the daughters who aren't virgins? See, the daughters who aren't virgins and the ladies all belong to somebody else, all been taken by somebody else, haven't they? They're included. Well, maybe they're not included. Yeah, what is happening with these ladies? They're not mentioned. The sword shall destroy outside. Who's outside? Is it possible that there's men outside that are being destroyed? And the young men and the nursing child? See, when we think about young men, we're talking about Bakor. Is it possible that Bakor is Yeled is another word for young boy. It could have said Yeled. But I think it's interesting that, what about the old woman? How come it doesn't say old woman? It says old man. You see what's going on here? Sometimes we have to learn from what it doesn't say. Now, just observations. He says, I would have said, I got to read it in something else because this is just too hard to read. I said, I would scatter them afar. That's what he said. I would make the remembrance of them cease from men. Okay, this is weird though. Who's I? I said, I would scatter them from afar. That sounds like Yehovah now all of a sudden, doesn't it? Is this kind of an insertion into the text, into the song? I put, who is I? This is the song of Moses that is being said by Israel. Is Israel? Is this I possibly men, each man of them acting as a shalach for Yahovah who is speaking? Could be. Could be. I put I seems to be a different voice than what we've heard until now. But the verse does say I. It does say I. I checked it. It says I said. Again, just something that is not flowing the way I would have expected it to flow. Some added words in there. I would have said, I will dash, I will, let's see what it will be. It is said, I will scatter them, dash them. No, he said, I will scatter them in pieces. Again, added words. I will dash them. I will scatter them afar. I will make the remembrance of them to cease from men. From men. Here it is. Men's remembrance. From, this is from right here. From men's, enoshim. That's men. Enosh. This is enosh. Enosh. From enosh man. Men's remembrance is what we're talking about. Men's remembrance. This enosh can be enoshim, enosh. They both can be plural. So we're talking about men's remembrance. I will cause them to depart from men's. I would scatter them. I would not make the remembrance of them cease from men. from men's remembrance. Yeah, they're going to be forgotten. These wicked men who were Yehovahs that went and served other elohim are going to be forgotten, destroyed and forgotten, erased from the remembrance of men. Whoa. Were it not for the concern that their adversary, uplifted in their pride and vexation, saying, our hand is strong, Yahovah has not done this. What's going on here? Talking about the men being scattered and then erased from the memory of men. This next verse, well, it's hard to understand. They put, had I not feared the wrath of the enemy. Who's I? Yahovah's not going to fear the wrath of anybody's enemy. No, that doesn't make any sense. What are we talking about? Were it not for concern that their adversary be lifted up in their pride. See, I think this is what we're talking about. It's not feared. It doesn't say feared. I was concerned that they were lifted up in their pride and their vexation. They just saw Israel be destroyed. Or they just destroyed Israel. Probably is more like it. We're going to see this. This is what's going to happen with the Assyrian. Our hand is high. And it is not Yahovah who has done this. We're strong. We did it. We conquered Yahovah's people. Well, I pulled some verses here in just a second. We'll get to them. Here it is. They are a nation void of counsel. They are goy. There it is. They are goy, void of counsel. There is no understanding in them. This is what these people are saying. Oh, that they were wise. That they understood this. That they would consider their latter end. Oh, they didn't consider their latter end. You know what? I want to stay on this idea here for just a moment where we were reading about our hand is high. I want to take you to Isaiah. I believe it's Isaiah 12. It's talking about the Assyrian. No, must be 11, 9. There it is, 10. Talking about the Assyrian. Listen to what the Assyrian says. Woe to Assyria, the rod of my anger. Remember, his people are being given over to wicked nations who are going to destroy them because they wouldn't follow Yahovah. This is the song of Moses. Here is the Assyrian. Woe to the Assyrian, the rod of my anger and the staff of those of whose hand is my, and the staff in whose hand is my indignation. Hear that? The Assyrian is the staff in whose hand is Yahovah's indignation. Is Yahovah Is Yahovah ticked that Israel is following somebody else? The answer is yes. He says, I will send him against an ungodly nation. That's the goyim we were just talking about. And against the people of my wrath. I will give him charge to seize the spoil, take the prey, tread them down like the mire in the streets. Yet he does not mean so, nor does his heart think so. Okay, he doesn't understand that he's being used by Yehovah. He thinks it's him. Okay, that's what we were just reading about. Yet he does not mean so, nor does he think, nor does his heart think so. But it is in his heart to destroy and to cut off not a few nations. For he says, are not my princes altogether kings? Is not Calno like Carchemish? Is not Hamath like Arpad, and Samaria like Damascus? They're all going down or went down. As my hand has found the kingdoms of idols, whose carved images excelled those in Jerusalem and Assyria and Samaria. As I have done to Samaria and her idols, shall I not do so also to Jerusalem and her idols? Therefore it shall come to pass, when Yehovah has performed all his work on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem, that he will say, I will punish the fruit of the arrogant heart of the king of Assyria, and the glory of his haughty looks. Okay, well, this is the punishment for that man who was, what do they just call it, had a high hand. This is what we're talking about. Let's go back to our story. 3:27. Our hand is strong. Yehovah has not done all this. That's what they say. But they don't understand Yehovah used them to destroy his wicked people. His righteous people are going to remain on the earth, and they're going to destroy the wicked ones in the end. That's what 14 is going to be about. Okay, so we got down to here. Oh, that they were wise, that they understood this, that they would consider their latter end. Oh my goodness. The word here is their latter end. La karitam. La karitam. To their end. To their end. Most people are pragmatists. They live only for today. What shall we eat? What shall we drink? What shall we wear? They live for today. And they fail to see the big picture. They live well today and perish for eternity. They do not look to their end. You hear that? These people do not look. La karitam, to their end. They live for today. They're short-sighted. And they fail to follow the Father's statutes and judgments and ordinances because something is more practical to do. You follow what I'm saying? They don't look to their end. He says, no, we say, how could one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight unless their rock had sold them? Who's being chased here? We're not doing the chasing. It's the wicked nations that are coming after us. One is putting 1,000 to flight. Two putting 10,000 to flight. How could it happen? Unless their rock had sold them. And the rock had surrendered them. I put this is the opposite of Yehovah's promises if we serve only him. Only it's worse. Look what it says. This is Leviticus 26:8. This is the blessings and the curses of Leviticus. He says, 5 shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall put 10,000 to flight. Your enemies shall fall by your sword before you. Well, look at what's going on here. How could one chase 1,000? One chasing 1,000? 2 putting 10,000 to flight? It's worse. It's the opposite, but worse. Here's another one. This is Joshua. It says, 1 man of you shall chase 1,000. All right, there's 1 chasing 1,000. That's what we had right here. One shall chase 1,000. But look what it says. For Yahovah, your elohim, is he who fights for you as he promised you. But here we got 2 chasing 10,000, unless their rock had sold them. I put, no wonder the enemy has a big head and is full of pride. It only takes 1 of their guys to chase 1,000 of Yehovah's wicked people. Which are not his people at all, of course. Because remember, you don't get the Passover, you get kicked out of Israel. Let's continue. 31. For their rock, oh, this is cool. Actually, they got it right in here. For their rock is not like our rock. Now, their rock is who? Their rock is fallen Israel. Okay, they don't have Yehovah as their rock. He's given them up. Their rock is not like our rock. At least they got the capitalization right. Rarely does New King James get the capitalization right. Their rock is not like our rock. Even our enemies themselves being the judges. Being their judges. Whose judges? Our enemies are being their judges. There is the rock who is, or there is these guys who are fallen Israel, who've gone and served after other Elohim. Oh, there's where I have the Assyrian. I had a little bit about the Assyrian, so I just got into it a little earlier. For their wine is the vine of Sodom. There. Okay, these are the people. They started out as Jacob, who we found in the wilderness. And they got fat. Yeshurun. And they turned and served other Elohim. Okay, this is where we're at. For their vine is the vine. What do you get off the vine? Grapes. You get fruit from the vine, don't you? For their vine is the vine of Sodom. What can you expect if you got the vine of Sodom for your reward? Yeah, destruction. That's right, Carrie. And their fields of Gomorrah. Their grapes are the grapes of gall. Their clusters are bitter. Their wine is the poison of serpents and the cruel venom of cobras. Is this not laid up in treasure with me? Sealed up among my treasures? Remember, he says he's going to shoot his arrows. Pestilence. Starvation. What were some of the things he said? Pestilence. Hunger. Pestilence. Bitter destruction. Teeth of beasts. They're all his treasures that are laid up for us. This is this not laid up in with me, sealed up among my treasures? Well, again, we kind of changed the voice again, didn't we? Because this seems to be Yahovah speaking. Now he says, and maybe the song's over. He says, vengeance is mine, and recompense, payback. Their foot shall slip in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things to come hasten upon them. Do you really believe in your heart that Yahovah is not going to do what he says? That's a bad bet. That's a losing proposition. It's a bet that's going to get you destroyed if you live your life according to that idea. Yahovah will not do what he says he's going to do. Don't go there. It's going to get you destroyed. For the days of their calamity is at hand. The day of their calamity, the great day of Yahovah. And the things to come hasten upon them. For Yahovah will judge his people and have compassion on his servants. You see how I did that? His people, we're talking about the people we've been talking about all above, the ones who have the black line underneath them. But he's going to have compassion on his servants, the ones who serve only him, not the elohim of this world. When he sees their power is gone and there's no one remaining bond or free, he will say, this is what Yahovah is going to say. Now let me just see what this says first. Oh, his people. For Yahovah will judge his people. There we have again that his people, single, and have compassion on his servants. Who are his servants? The servants is the Aved. The Aved. That's a man, or it could be Avedim, if it's the plural form of that word. But Aved is, there's no lady servants. The lady servants are called Amah, not Aved. When he sees their power is gone and there is no one remaining bond or free. When he sees their power is gone. Their power. Whose power? Whose power are we talking about? Their power. It's man's power. Right. Well, listen to what he says. He will say, where are their Elohim? Elohim, where are their Elohim? The rock in which they sought refuge. What's he going to say? Did Obama save them? How about the Army, the Navy, the Marines? How about PEMCO? Or Allstate? They're the rock. The rock. The rock. Their rock. Or Geico? Did their Elohim save them? Who do they trust in? Who do you trust in? Men? The Navy? The Army? Obama? PEMCO? Allstate? See, it all depends on how you set up your life. You know how you set up, who you trust by how you set up your life. I got nothing to trust in but Yehovah. Your actions demonstrate the truth, really, don't they? Oh, we're getting out of time. Wow. We're not going to make it through here today. Okay. 12:58. Yeah. Maybe I can get through this song. No, I'm going to stop here. Vengeance is mine, and payback. Their foot shall slip in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things to come hasten upon them. Let's stop here. Father, please let these words soak into our hearts, our soul, our thoughts, and our emotions, and affect our lives. We are lost among the goyim, the nations of this world. We have forgotten who we serve and who is the creator of all things. We don't take your word seriously. We honor it with our mouth. We draw nigh unto it with our lips, but our heart is far from it. We serve other Elohim and think we're doing you a service. Forgive us. We are lost. This song is for us. Teach us your ways. Thank you for joining us today. Please, if you like what I have to say, you know what? Maybe you don't like what I have to say. But if you understand what I have to say is what Yahovah is saying to the world right now, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read my blog. I've got so much that I can give you if you will just open your heart and your mind to hear another perspective, to hear what Yahovah says about so many subjects. Does your Elohim change? Mine doesn't. Does your Elohim's word endure forever? Mine does. But so many believe that somehow Yahovah changed something. Folks, that is a false premise, and it's going to get you killed. Subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Soon we're going to be starting Genesis from chapter 1, just like we did 3 years ago. I've got a wealth of information that I can give you. Well, that's my plea to you. Hey, thank you for joining me today. Y'all come back now, you hear? Love you tons. Bye now.